Welcome to another episode of Friday Video at Vizwik, and I'm your host Simon Gobin. Today we're going to use a new control that we've just released called the Selectable List, and I'm going to show you how to use it and what kind of operators you can use with it, and let's start building it right away. So I'm starting off with my default project here. I'm going to remove these things very quickly. Just click and hit the delete key. I'm also going to delete this script since I don't need it, and we'll go straight to straight to lists, and you'll notice there's a new selectable list that's added there, and you can just drag and drop that in, and there you go. You can see the selectable list, and I can open it up and make show a few more of them. What I can do is I can modify the list as well, and you can turn on and off various things. We're going to turn off a bunch of stuff right now just to make it really easy to work with. Turn off descriptions and lists. I'm going to make a basic to-do list. All right, so let's reload the simulator, and you'll notice there's nothing here because we haven't added anything to the list. When I click on the list, I want it to show something. So I need a script, and I'm going to call this tab. Just double click on the name and rename it tab, and then I can drag and drop the tab icon, the link icon, onto the list while you see it's selected here, and then it'll attach it to the list there. And so it'll actually do something and you see it's an input automatically created. So if I double click on here and have a print, it's going to print to my console. My console is right here on the simulator, and it'll output something. Now, again, I don't have anything to print out because I don't have any items in the list attached yet. So let's create a new script, and we'll call that add. So I'm going to add an item to the list, and I'm going to need a button, and here I just grab a button and I'm going to drop it in here. I'm going to call this add so we know what the buttons do, and then I can drag and drop again my link thing on here, and now I'm going to add an item to the list. So the first thing you need is the list, so I'm going to grab the list out of this editor and drop it into the selectable list here. And then I'm going to call on, there's a whole bunch of script items for views here. So if you go into views and I go to add item, you see it can add a bunch of stuff to different view items and so forth. So I'm just going to drag this here. And what it does is it adds an item to the list, and the item is an object. But what I do have is a new operator for new object, and I can create a new object, and I want to add a property to that object, and the property is going to be, property set, and it's going to be called title, like that, and it's a property of the items in the list. Okay, so the title is what you see as a title name for the list. If I double click here, I can just say, I'll just add test, and then I can do this, connect it to add item, and now when I reload the simulator, and you'll see an add button show up, and I click add, there you go, boom, 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 and these are all the items that I'm adding that are being added here, and it's the same one over and over again. It's test, and now it's scrollable. I can scroll up and down, and I can click on individual ones like that and select them, and that's what makes it a selectable list. Now if I tap on any of these, you'll notice there's a bunch of information in here. Now if I tap on one, you'll notice that it outputs an object, okay, and all of this text here is the representation of the object with the properties and values. And some of the properties that you'll want to notice is, first of all, index, IDX. IDX is the index of the list item. So if I click on the fourth item, you'll see that the index is 4 over here. You'll also notice that it has a property called selected, which is false. And so if I click on one that has selected true, you can see that the value is true. And that's used for doing a whole bunch of things. So let's get right to that. The first thing I want to do is get the selected items in the list, and there's a property for that. So I'm going to create a new script, create a new button. I need my view, and I'm going to call this get. And what you do oftentimes is you want to get the items that are selected in the list. So I'm going to call this get and drag and drop again, this connection here. And now I'm going to get the items in the list. So here's the list. Let me get the item, get the list, and I have a operator. Actually, if you go to the scripts here and go down to here, you could go looking for this, and it's right there, get selected list items, and I can connect that. And what it'll do is it'll print out all of the, or not print out, it'll output all of the items that are the result of the items that are selected inside of the list. Okay, and if you want to see the help like this, just hold down the Option key or the Alt key on your Windows keyboard. And then if you click on the little help here, you get the full help for that item. And as well, you can see some of the examples and so forth. So when you've got a list, you can do things to the list, and that is iterate over the list, and we're going to use a list loop for that. And in here, if you do that, you can connect the output and guarantee that there's going to be some items in the list. And I'm going to do some things to those items. So for each item that comes out, I can get the index of that item. Okay, so now I'm going to property get index, IDX, like that. And I can set the property of one of those items. So I could set all of the ones that are list to done. All right, let's try that. And now I'm going to, this is set. I'm going to go down here, and it has one called set list item value. And what it does is it takes the list and the index of the item and the value, okay, which is a particular value I'm going to set as a property on the list item. And let's try that now. So I've got the index. I'm also going to need the list. So I'm going to pass in the list into here, and I'm going to use set item list like that. Use the index, use the list, and now I'm going to create a new object. I'm just going to go here, say new object, and I'm going to set the property of that object, which is going to be the title, right, to done. And so I'm going to pass in a new object with the property title, and I'm going to set that to done like that. And I'm going to now change the names of all the items that are in the list that are selected to done. Let's try that. So here we go. I'm going to click a bunch of ones, and I'm going to set those ones, and now I'm going to get them, and boom, look at that. It set them all to done. And that's really cool. So you can do all kinds of things with, you can't just do that, you can do all kinds of other things. One of them would be to actually remove each item one at a time, but there's actually a better way of doing that. And the better way of doing that is to remove the items. And we have a operator for doing that. Let's create another button in our screen, and I'm going to call this rem for remove, or actually let's just call it remove because that's what the user would like to see. And I'm going to call this remove. Double click on the title, remove, like that. And I'm going to drag and drop that one. And again, I'll need the list. So there you go. And I'm going to now search for this because I don't want to go flipping through here anymore. I'm going to go remove, and then look, remove selected items from a list. Just design exactly for what I want, which is getting rid of all the items that are selected, because you often want to do that. And let's see if it works. So reload the simulator, add a bunch of items. Let's select a couple of them. Let's set them to done so that I know that they're done, and because I can see the difference. And then remove them. Boom, look at that. Oh, they're gone. Well, that's exactly what it's supposed to do. One of the things you'd also need to do is actually sort them. So before you remove them, you may want to see all the ones that are done and versus the ones that are not done, and organize them, or organize them by name. Now, these all happen to have the same name, so we'll see how that works in a second. But one of the things you can do is sort. So let's type sort, and we have a bunch of different sorted items here. You can sort a list alphabetically, which means any list, but you can also sort the list by its selectedness. And so let's create a new button, and let's call this sort, like that. And I'm going to resize this button a little bit. There you go. Again, this is a very messy user interface. I would never do it this way if I was doing it for other users. Sort like that. And we're going to attach this to the sort button. And now we're going to grab the list, drop it in, and we're going to call sort. And where's our sort? Oh, can't find it. Well, let's call sort again, search for it, sort selected list items. And now the first property that comes in is the list view. The second one is the direction. And it talks about the direction here by giving you alphabetically either A to Z or Z to A, which is in either direction. So let's create A to Z. So just type in AZ like that. And if I reload my simulator, now see a sort, I'll add a bunch and I can click on them in odd ways and see if it sorts. Boom, look at that. It's sorted from the selected ones first and the non-selected ones afterwards. And if I reverse this to Z to A, it'll do the opposite. And look at that. It sorted them in the opposite direction. Have fun playing with Vizwik.